Hello again, and this is, I suppose, a part two to my previous tutorial. So if you haven't checked that out, this is now I'm using SoundMiner for this, but you don't need SoundMiner at all. I'm just using it because it's really convenient way to make lots of new variations. So if we have a quick recap of some of the sounds that I made previously, I've kept the effects on. Now, if I was doing these for a sample pack or something, I would probably make them sound. I'd probably use a host of different effects on and off, so it would make them sound even more unique. But just for this, I'm just using what I already had. So rather than going through that whole processing, so if we listen to a few of them. So there's a few, and they already sound quite lush because of all the effects, etc. And I haven't done much processing since then. But the concept I want to show you today is, and you could do this in your DAW, of course, is what we could do now is basically to make a lot more unique sounds, or basically rinse our sounds and make more out of them, is we could alter the speed. Now you do that in your DAW by stretching the audio, but I'm just doing it here in SoundMiner because it's very quick. So we could either speed these up, slow them down. So let's try and slow them down. See what happens. And because these are all digitally created, they're very clean. So when you're pitching Foley down, for example, which I have to do quite a bit, you get artifacts. So, but for this, it's great because you can just literally, the recordings are so clean and digital that there won't be any, well, shouldn't be any strange anomalies in the sound. So let's. Of course, this may not be desirable. Like you may not want, you don't might want the sounds to be longer, etc. But then you just pitch them using a pitch shifter or whatever within your DAW. But I always think you get a really nice sound when you kind of slow stuff down tape style, especially in SoundMiner. As I said, you don't need SoundMiner, but it's kind of nice to have. But you can do all this in your DAW. So now that we have, say, all these slowed down, we could simply, I can start now recording these. Let's say, one other tip, when you're moving stuff or pitching stuff up and down like this, increasing and decreasing the length, I would say that you need a lot more SFX on them, because the reverb tails and whatnot tend to get kind of compressed and they kind of disappear. So these are quite good because I've slathered them in effects. So that's kind of cool. It works for the purposes of this demonstration. So yeah, what we do now is I could say, let's say I have it pitched down by 72%. I could simply, well, I can just record this, but let's just do a few because it will, because it's slow. So I'm recording now. You might hear a little pop when, but that won't be. I should have had my limiter on actually. Oops. I'll just go to something else then. Something that won't clip the audio. So let's say we like those. We stop our recording, and now we have these new ones. Sorry, you had to make sure the speed was correct. And we could even attempt to pitch these down again to get drones. But you get the idea. The other thing is you can also pitch them up. And we could bounce them out. But if we go back to our original ones, oops, again, we could simply pitch these all the way up 100%. And then we could record them so you'd have effectively same sounds, but they sound totally different because they're pitched up. You could even record them and start. You can get this lad out here. And you could bounce them out. So let's keep it down. I kind of like the let's go right down for the moment. See what happens. You get your drones. Then you've got effects that you can further put on. So chopper here. And of course, if I hit record, I have, so basically from a few sounds, I can have a plethora of new stuff. Could also reverse them. Take off the flanger. What else do we have? A bit of a vibrato. And you can just, as I said, record all these new iterations, and in a short space of time you'll have a huge amount of textures that you can then rework and use for whatever. So that's just another idea. Again, don't get hung up on the fact that you need Sound Miner Pro, because you don't. I mean, anything I've done here I could do in a DAW, and probably would. I just really like the way I can kind of record stuff on the fly, and add extra effects, virtually instantaneously. I'm sure, of course, I could go into, Radium as well and load these, into the sampler here. Which is pretty cool. And you got your effects, etc. I might go into doing a bit on Radium at some point. But yeah, for now, that's just another concept you can check out. Try it in your DAW, see how it comes out. Let me know if you found it useful. I think what I'll do next with these new sounds is I might try and do some manga type effects, show you how I do it. But anyway, yeah, thanks. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Take care.